What's the DJ?
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. Hope everyone got out there and voted. You guys out in the West Coast, you still got plenty of time, same as in the East Coast and out in Chicago, Mr. Riley. As yes, I am back. I am so glad to be back, but I'm so glad to have a team and a family that we do here at ECSI. Hats off to my co-host. And I always say co-host. He took the reins. He reached out and says, Jeff, when you're away, if you need someone, and I didn't have to ask again. And he kept the show going, and that's what we're all about. And he did a hell of a job. I got a boatload of DMs, emails, and saying thank you for keeping the show going and raving reviews. So I couldn't be happier. Proud dad over here, the son that I never had here with Riley. So without further ado, let's bring him in from the South Side himself, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. What is up, Riley?
What is up, my friend? Good to see you again. You, the tan is blinding over here, my friend. I hope you had a blast. The pictures were awesome. I had a blast doing the guest solo hosting duties. At least, if you obviously I'm not a guest anymore, but guest solo hosting duties. It was a lot of fun. So, obviously did the Big Ten and SEC show with Kiefer, and I mean the way college football is trending, we might have to do some more of those. The three of us or two of us or whatever it is, but. As far as the weekend is concerned, decent weekend. College football had some success. One of my rougher NFL weeks of the year so far this past weekend. Got to give a shout out. I told on the Big Ten show, I said not suggesting that Northwestern, who I picked to have a nice bounce back season this year, which obviously was a whiff. I said pump the brakes on any Ohio State offense. That I guess I overlooked the weather a little bit, but the 11 a.m. Northwestern kickoff towards the end of the year is a silent killer. It's the polar opposite of what we saw Saturday night in Death Valley, but somehow potentially just as deadly. And obviously Northwestern didn't win, but they covered by about 24 points. So I call that a lack of home field advantage somehow being home field advantage. But we got the Big Ten season riding right along, and last night, I went to the Bulls game last night, so I didn't get a chance to watch too much college basketball yesterday on the opening day. But I know you were excited, as I am excited for the return of college basketball, my friend. So I saw a couple upsets out there, but like I said, still kind of this afternoon playing catch up as far as what went down yesterday. But yeah, you know what? I'm very excited. Illinois, obviously, I'm a Illinois basketball fan. They got the nice win last night. But nonetheless, I'm ready to rock and roll. Obviously no NBA tonight. A few action games, so I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. Is maybe a lot more recap than it is looking ahead to tonight. But either way, glad to be back with you, my friend. Happy to share the screen once again, and I'm ready to rock and roll today wherever you want to go.
It seems like it's been forever. I don't even know how many days itself. I left the office Saturday night, and I got back here this morning at around 9 a.m. Eastern time. Was able to work from the ship. I sent out the alerts. I did my homework, whatever time, whatever we could do to stay up. We had a great week. We had back-to-back envelope Mondays. Was able to cash that future that we gave out on the Astros at 7-1 in July. The baseball end, as much as hats off to the Astros, Dusty Baker, I'm glad if you watched game one, the whole story was focused on Mattress Mac and his $72 million, and they kind of faded a little less in game two. And after that, it was like, all right, just leave him alone and just let him suffer or enjoy it. The story in my eyes was the hell of a run by the Phillies. the Phillies, I go back to the first game of the playoffs against the Cardinals, down 2-0, top of the ninth, one out, and they scored 6 runs, and the switch flipped there. And they just went on this magical run, and then they beat the defending champ Braves, and then they go on to face the Padres. They beat them. They put the fear in God in Houston. They took one in Houston, 1-1, come back home, took that, they did the same thing the Celtics did. Took that 2-1 game lead, right? And they host in game 4, and then the other team goes and takes the next 3. MVP, we didn't have the MVP. Hats off to Pena. He won the American League MVP, and he wins the World Series MVP. Before we start digging into some of the other stuff, what was your thoughts and your take on the World Series, and I guess the baseball playoffs at home?
Yeah, you know what? I don't have anything to disagree with you. I pulled it up right now. The one guy that I think hasn't gotten much love and a little bit overshadowed with Javier's, who obviously deserves a ton of respect himself as far as that performance and what he did all season long and the postseason, but Framber Valdez deserves some more respect and obviously credit to Pena. I'm not saying he shouldn't be the MVP, but Valdez, 4 starts in the playoffs, 2 in the World Series. I don't know what his actual record was in the postseason, but 4 outings, 4 victories for the Houston Astros, and over 4 outings, 1.44 ERA. I mean, the guy was nails all postseason long, and 2.82 ERA, 17-6 on the season. He was one of the more underrated our guys all season long. So credit to him. But yeah, I mean, the story was the Phillies. The excitement was the Phillies. And a lot of atmospheres as far as being fantastic atmospheres that you had in San Diego there. So I'm excited for moving on. We haven't talked about it, and I won't waste more than 2 seconds on it. My White Sox got the new manager turning the corner, already making some moves or accepting declining options, whatnot. So I'm excited to get into the offseason and put this last one in the past here. But and then obviously the Yankees, I guess as far as them falling, I guess would be the other negative story of the playoffs there and what their expectations were as well as the Mets. Obviously, you got to mention them, and now DeGrom opted into free agency. So the baseball offseason should be an exciting one. So I'm really excited. The White Sox, I'll believe it when I see it, but they mentioned or at least Jerry Reinsdorf, our owner, mentioned that he's going to be willing to spend. So I'll believe it when I see it, but with some big names, I'm hoping there's at least one guy that they can make a big splash with and change some tides. So, we'll see. I'm excited for the offseason, though.
What killed me is, the off season. I'm a huge hot stove guy. I used to wake up that week that it was on, and I'd get the bubblies. It was like Christmas Day. I'm waiting for the breaking news, and then you're hearing the rumblings and the rumors and everything. But now with the free agency, it's almost like chicken. Who's your agent? I'm going to wait to see what he gets to hopefully open up my market. What killed me in the playoffs, every time Schwarber got up at bat, and it was just such a kick in the nuts. We had him, and I'll stick to this. This is my take. I really think before the lockout, the Red Sox thought that they had the kid that the Cubs got from, was it Japan or wherever he came over, the outfielder.
Seiya Suzuki?
Yes. I really think they thought they had him, and I don't know what transpired with getting JBJ back and trading Renfroe, because you look between Renfroe and Schwarber, they had almost 75 homers combined, and then to see what Schwarber did in the playoffs, and he would just been a perfect fit at Fenway, and just to watch, it was a kick in the nuts every time he got a homer. And now, as you talk about the offseason, Xander Bogaerts opts into free agency. It sounds like they're shopping. They're going to move Story over to short. They're going to now shop for a second baseman, which is cheaper. They could make some headway. Trey Turner could be out there. And obviously Judge. And so it's going to be an interesting offseason for me as a Red Sox. I'll tell everyone right now, November 8th, it is 4:55, and I'll have Kiefer go back to this. If Xander does not come back to the Red Sox, I don't know if anyone's got it at their sports book, Xander Bogaerts will be the starting shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals. You can mark that down right now.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, they seem like they're one player away, or maybe a player and a pitcher away, or something like that too. So, and obviously they've had how long now? A decade of not having a ring on their finger, which obviously is another franchise that doesn't like sitting in the weeds. So I'm not going to deny that with you by any means. I think that whether it's him or somebody else, I think they're going to try and make a splash for sure.
And I'll just, because you brought up DeGrom, and then we'll skip to our Lou to the next subject. I know these guys were craving a pitcher. I think they thought they had Garrett Cole, and they got stood up at the altar. It was a dismal season. It's always a season full of injuries. It's a season where they don't have enough starting pitching. They have no back end. What would you think? And I don't know what the price tag on DeGrom is. I do not. And I know he's often injured, but when healthy, he's one of the best, if not the best. What about if the Angels made a swoop at DeGrom?
Yeah, I would hope that they have at least some type of aggressiveness in them, man. I mean, you can't waste having two of, as far as my lifetime, already. I mean, obviously Shohei's only been there 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is now. But it's having two of the most generational talents of at least my lifetime, and at the same time, and still obviously Trout's had some injury issues, but it's not like they were in contention. It's not like him going out is the reason they fell out of contention. So I'm with you. They need to do something. They need some type of pitching to bolster them. So yeah, that would be a good landing spot, and I'm sure LA would be very welcoming for Mr. DeGrom there. I will not deny that for you.
Well, I have to go down this alley. It has, I've waited for a handful of years. I've had egg on my face. I've had the banana in the tailpipe, not once, not twice, but 3 times with your beloved Packers. Jokingly in the Sportsbook Confessions with myself, Dave Sharapan, and Brady Tinker, I started the year saying Minnesota Vikings MVP Kirk Cousins as a joke at 40-1. I says he's got Justin Jefferson. I think this is their year in the division. I didn't think they'd have a 4-game lead and you'd have a 5-game losing streak. It's been a while. So I'm giving you the stage here. I know you did some solo shows without me, but lay it on. What's going on in your head? What's going in Packerville? And what's your thoughts moving forward?
No, I don't know that I'll have as much of an upset rant. I mean, it's more of a point of embarrassment and just, hoping that, things change to some degree and tinkering expectations, or, that maybe tinkering's an understatement there. But, as far as the Vikings, obviously they've looked very good. They, new coaching regime, as opposed to blowing these games or not play, like they did yesterday or 2 days ago, come back. They're actually winning these games now, right? So, whether that's sustainable or not, they're 7-1. They're winning this division. Even if the Packers make some incredible run, which I don't know that that's happening. It's funny. Every time there's been a few times throughout my lifetime, I've been very fortunate to have at least successful seasons for the Packers. But there's obviously been a few times of having down seasons, whether it's injured quarterbacks or just a bad season, the final Mike McCarthy year, whatever it is. There's always points of optimism where I'm like, oh, they'll figure it out right. And then in this case, I kind of had that the last couple of days. And then it's like, okay, well, Rashawn Gary is out for the entire season. Your number 1 pass rusher. Romeo Doubs might be out 4 to 6 weeks, blah, blah, and the list goes on. So, it's interesting. I listened to Rogers today on McAfee's show. And I have, I'm happy that he is still coming with this competitive fire, because that definitely is still there. But it's almost leading into just this weird gunslinger, kind of just abandoning all, trust in whatever should be working in the offense. And he had a comment, I think, to Aaron Andrews on Sunday of, I'm just trying to go down swinging or something like that. That's great, but you can go down swinging, winning some games, and trusting your running backs and whatnot. So, and obviously he made some horrendous throws the other day, who he kind of took some accountability for. But you look at Josh Allen and the way he took that loss right on the chin. Second loss of the season, whatever, taking that loss right on the chin. So you'd like to see more of that. And then obviously, just untimely turnovers right at the goal line. They moved the ball well aside from that. So I don't know what to expect. We've had a lot of success against Dallas. So, at the end of the day, I've lowered my expectations pretty drastically. still a team that I feel like on their best day can beat just about anybody. I'm not saying that's going to happen every single week or that we're going to go on a run, but I have to imagine we're going to win a few of these nice or bigger games, I guess you would say. But at 3-6, even coming back and let's say they won that game to go to 4-5 and beat the Lions 16-5, it still would have felt embarrassing and gross, and I'd still be with the same tone that I'm sitting here with. So. And optimistically, if you want to shot at any playoffs, you need a lot of help the rest of the NFC, which so far has kind of gone that way. But at the end of the day, the expectations have changed quite a bit here. So we'll have some optimism maybe this upcoming week, and if they get that win, then who knows. But I think they're 5-point dogs. So you know what? I'll lean on the success that they've had. But like I said, I've lowered my expectations quite a bit. The injuries, especially after that we sustained the other day, is really piling up. As far as key players the other day. So I'm not sure what it's going to look like going forward, especially with what we've already had. I that's about as much as I can give you. I've lowered my expectations quite a bit, and I'm trying to keep the misery and the pain of these losses not piling up as much. So the expectations have definitely changed over here.
Two things. Is there any comparison? Because I've heard it. The latter part and eventually moving on of Brett Favre to the way that Aaron has looked this year, number one. Number two, is there a point where the season's over, you wave the white flag, that we could sit him just to see what we have with Love?
I mean that's that's certainly a reality. Is it at 3-6 or 3-7, 4-7, whatever it might be the next couple of weeks? Probably not then. It's certainly reality though. I mean, if they're sitting 5-11, obviously that's only one more game, but 4-9, whatever it is, I think you have to kick the can on that a little bit and maybe sit him for 2-3 games. But it's interesting. You either obviously you can't trade him at this point past the trade deadline, so I would say it's certainly a reality. But he is pretty confident in his words of going down swinging and still fighting until the end and whatnot. So. How long that, where that end of the season is or where we're officially eliminated, I don't know. But I would imagine if they're out of contention by week 14, then, yeah, why not give Jordan Love the last 3 weeks of the season at the very least? So, and I, obviously we didn't foresee this season going this way, but, he's coming back next year unless something drastic changes or they have a way of legitimately moving out of him. So, you just hope to build up the rest of this season, get these young guys in a better spot, and maybe change the attitudes a little bit, and maybe have a better season next year. But it's certainly a reality, Jeff. I don't know what point it would be, but yeah, it's got to happen at some point if we're out of contention for sure.
Last night you were high above courtside at the Bulls game, and we're a few weeks in now. Give me your take on last night and give me your take on how the Bulls are looking.
After the third of my teams that I'm talking about here, they are 6-6, and I am having quite a bit more amount of fun given the expectations than the last two teams that I just talked about. Still hoping that they obviously can be a playoff team and rattle off some wins, and they've been teetering right around 500. Had kind of a tough schedule so far, so. And, obviously had some injury issues, still waiting for Lonzo Ball to come back. The optimism is growing. It's just, like I said, they're 6-6. These wins are fun. They're, an enjoyable team to watch, especially after the 3-4 years, prior to last season that were, a borderline embarrassment. So, and during those points, it's like, just give me a fun team to watch. And now they're 6-6. And it's like, all right, well, I'd love to have a nice, top 10 player maybe, and maybe a deep playoff run. But, I'm enjoying these games right now. But, the one guy that I've said is kind of the X factor to them going to the next level. And he's been looking really good the last week and a half or so. Patrick Williams. To start the season, year 3 now, only played like 5 games, I think, last year with an injury. But year 3, the first 5 games, he was just kind of standing around, and it was almost useless, basically. I think in that game against your Celtics, the first time he played and the Bulls won, I think he played the first 6 minutes and then didn't play until the last 6 minutes when the Bulls had the game in hand. So it's not something you can have from your starting 3 or 4, I guess, or starting 4, excuse me. But now his confidence is really, really growing, and he's looking like he could be a reliable rotation piece, if not better. So I just don't know. Is there a chance that we, throw a trade package together to get really aggressive if a star becomes available? I mean, if this Nets situation continues the way to trend the way, and the asking price for Kevin Durant goes through the floor, then who knows? Maybe the Bulls can throw their hat in that ring for a much lower price than what it was 2 months ago. So I just don't. It's really a confusing part of how do you go to the next level if you're the Bulls? It's like I said, you either get aggressive and try and trade for a star, or you rely on the guys that you have as far as their progressions, which is going fairly well. But to get to that, if you're actually talking about a championship, there's got to be some other move to make here. So it's enjoyable. I have faith that we'll go on a nice little a couple of little win streaks here to get ourselves above 500 and into this top 8, if hopefully not top 6. But I've been enjoying the NBA season, man. It's last night was. They had all 30 teams playing last night, 15 games. And if I was sitting on my couch watching, it would have been fantastic because all the games were staggered, I think, 15 minutes. But for me, it was 7:45 start time right after daylight savings time. So it felt like it was a 9 o'clock game for me, which was a little bizarre. But nonetheless, it's been a fun NBA season. Milwaukee, I think it was you that mentioned you thought, and I totally agree with you, that Milwaukee was the safest pick for winning it all. I don't remember if it was if that was just the Eastern Conference or the entire NBA. I don't remember. Both basically, and so far they look like the clear best team right now. Obviously, Cleveland's looking really solid. Your Celtics are also looking solid. They've had a couple overtime games that went Cleveland's way, but if one or both go the other way, then obviously we're talking a little more about the Celtics. Atlanta finally ended the Bucks winning streak, even without Trae Young. They haven't gotten enough credit yet. Honestly, they look like they deserve to be in that group right there. And with I think Miami and Philly will start to play better. Those are kind of the two mainstays of the top 6 that obviously aren't really playing well right now, and I've been staying away from for the most part right now until they figure themselves out. But Toronto's a solid team. They're missing Pascal Siakam for a minute here, it looks like, but they're going to be a real solid team. They'll be in the conversation. I think they'll be a top 6 team. If not, they'll be a 7-8 seed. If not, so and then the story and a lot of this so far in the NBA is so many of these teams that were supposedly tanking actually playing well and playing competitive. Not just the Jazz, there's a couple other teams as well, but the Utah Jazz 9-3 atop of the Western Conference. Lauri Markkanen, former Bull, who I had high hopes for, and then was sorely disappointed. Now looking like a perennial all-star on their hands. So, and there's been other fun teams to watch. I was high on Portland as far as being an above 500 team. They've been really fun to watch with or without Damian Lillard. So, still a few teams that are figuring themselves out for sure. I mean, the Clippers have been a weird team so far. Golden State 4-7. That's the one. Nobody's really talking about the struggles of Golden State. Obviously, I think everyone imagines as long as they're fairly healthy, they'll figure it out. But and then obviously the Lakers. We don't have to talk too much about the Lakers to know what's going on with them. But aside from that, everything's going about as smoothly as it can. Aside from all of the nonsense that I just laid out there. But what would you say as far as the Lakers? Do you feel confident that they can make a trade to make this team better in the near coming 2-3 weeks, or do you think? I mean, I know you mentioned you believe they go the complete opposite way. Is that still where you're at here, and dump some of these assets or dump some of these players and get some legitimate assets going forward here?
My 1 o'clock show is with Pop DiBiase from LA on the NFL Bet Exchange, and big Laker fan, obviously. And we were talking off the air, and I'm going to stick to this script. If you're going to stick and stay with LeBron this year and maybe next year, they have 2 power moves. Obviously, we know LeBron is GM. LeBron got rid of all the kids. Now, if I was Miss Buss, or if I was the owner of the Lakers, general manager looking down, you need life after LeBron. Now, could they turn the season around this year? Yeah, maybe. Likely, probably not. And they're not going to get that far in the West. So if LeBron played a couple more years and he goes off into the sunset, you're stuck with an AD who's going to look like Waller. He's going to look like turf toe Mike Thomas. In other words, the load management is going to be awful. So for me, that was my follow-up question to you. I'm trading AD. first of all. And I know the closer it gets to the All-Star break, someone's going to take on Westbrook, which you want to move sooner just because they want their expiring contract. So I'm going to ask you this. As a Bulls fan, would you take on or would you think about Anthony Davis?
I saw this rumor today. It would depend on the package that we gave up for sure, which I imagine they'd be asking for more than what we would like to give up. The guy I mentioned, Patrick Williams, probably being involved, or when one of our fan favorites, Ayo Dosunmu, who that's the funny thing as far as the Bulls and these trade packages that anyone's trying to cook up. Nobody wants to give their favorite player in there. I mean, Ayo Dosunmu is a Chicago native, Illinois, played at Illinois at a high level, so the fan base is enthralled with him. And any big move, it's probably pretty reasonable to suggest that he would be involved there. But it would have to be, as far as Anthony Davis, it would have to be with some assurance that he's going to be healthy, like you're saying, for more than even just a year. I mean, even if you're just telling me he's going to be good like they were for the championship run, which he was very good. He was very good. Even if you're telling me that, it's like, all right, maybe I have one shot at a championship for one single year, but then what after that? We're stuck in the same situation that the Lakers could be in. So I don't know. You would have to get some assurance that he's going to have some sustained health, which I'm just not as confident in with Anthony Davis. So unless the asking price is pretty low and you're just maybe giving him a draft pick or so, and maybe I'd give up Kobe White. I'm not a huge Kobe White fan, but excuse me. Aside from that, I don't know. I think the trade market for a lot of stars will probably heat up the closer we get to the deadline here. But, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical as far as just not having faith in his health. So I would say if he's healthy, yes, and you can promise me that, then yes. If not, then no, thank you.
Would you take a bite of the apple of Kyrie Irving?
Good Lord, no. Keep me out. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. I can't say no hard enough on that. As far as how good he is as a basketball player, I wish I wish I could have a basketball player like that on my team. But, whether it's what's going on right now or, it's been, 4 straight years in a row now with some type of distraction, whether it's warranted or not. I don't know if any of them are, but, whether you agree with what he's saying or not, there's been 4 or 5 different cases of some massive distraction, and I don't see, even if this has moved past what's going on and he's allowed back into the league somewhere, I have to imagine there's going to be another 3 different distractions. So no, thank you at all. Hard pass.
We don't have to go in. Actually, 30-second. I'll give you 1 minute. Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, I can't give you too much there. I was with my girlfriend's family this weekend. Her dad is a diehard Blackhawks fan, kind of like he can spew off stuff about the Blackhawks like I just did my 3 favorite teams. I cannot. I've watched, only a few minutes of maybe some shootouts or overtime games or anything like that. But from what I understand, fourth in the Central right now, 12 points. I think 5-5-2. So vastly exceeded expectations. They've had some guys playing fun there. It's funny. They're kind of like one of these teams that have been in the NBA where you expect them to be terrible and they come out and they're pulling off a couple upsets and having some fun. So I have no idea if it's sustainable. I can't tell you much past that. But it's at least not been an embarrassment, which I think the majority of the fan base thought it would be. So that's been fun for us here.
As you said, no NBA tonight. We got 3 games on the slate for the action.
Yes.
A 7:00 start, Eastern Michigan at Akron. Currently, Eastern Michigan 7. You can get a couple 6.5, but basically a 7. An open and under over of 55. Now 57s is the consensus. 7:30 rotation number 103, 104. Ohio at Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio opens up as a pick. Now Ohio 2.5 2-point favorites. Consensus 52, we'll say, in the under over. And then at 8:00, rotation number 105, 106. Ball State and Toledo. We'll give Toledo -11 right now, and under over opened at 51 and a hook. I'm going to say 50 juiced under -15 cents. Anything attract your attention there?
It's at least worth talking about that EMU and Akron game, Eastern Michigan and Akron. 5-4 EMU and 1-8 Akron, 7 point. It was 7 point for most of the day that I saw. Now you mentioned it, and it looks like there's some spots that got 6.5. hard to at least not be interested in why that's where it is with a 1-8 Akron team that I imagine people are going to see that and think they're one of the worst teams in college football. Which, this MAC I don't have crazy insights on the MAC, but it's always been something where a lot of times these underdogs have some value to them. This conference is just top to bottom a lot closer than these records would tell you. So I'm honestly interested. This is the one that I'm interested the most as far as maybe some type of Akron action or the over. I'm going to double check the team totals here. 24.5 for Akron. Give me the over on 24.5 for Akron. They've had a couple games where they've gotten blown out by 20, but they're still scoring 30 points. I think maybe their two worst games they've gotten their butts kicked to Michigan State and Tennessee. But aside from that, they've been either very competitive or in their big losses or big deficits, they've still put up quite a bit of points. So I don't know. 24.5. Am I crazy with that one?
Well, if I told you this, that Eastern Michigan's money line opened up minus 330 and Akron was plus 265. If I told you right now at Circa, Eastern Michigan money line is down to 265 and Akron plus 225. So right there alone is upset alert. And then let me go to your team total. I'm seeing a 31 and a hook juiced under for Emu and Akron 24 over at 120. What are you seeing?
I see over 24.5 minus 105, and so the under 24.5 minus 125 there.
Okay.
On Akron, and then 32.5 for Emu, minus 115 both ways. 32.5.
So that to me again, it was a perfect storm last week in the MAC, and this is the way I like to say it: 2 games, 1 favorite, one underdog, one under came in, 1 over came in, and right. So now they throw the third game in there. So I'm going to say this out loud: there'll be at least 1 favorite, 1 underdog, 1 under, 1 over, and then there's a wild card in there.
Yep, and it's just going off of it seems like a lot of the public is all over Ohio on I'm just using DraftKings tracker here. They've got 82% of the bets, 84% of the handle on Ohio minus the 2. And then money line pretty similar on that one. And then a lot of the public I think is on Ball State to cover the 11 against Toledo there. 65% bets and money on Ball State there. So I don't know. I Toledo. There is 1 or 2 teams that are really good, and on their best day, they are that good. It's just a lot of these teams that are underdogs have a lot more value than similar lines elsewhere in college football. That it's apples and oranges with the MAC on these weeknights for whatever reason. So I don't go too crazy into them, but I think Akron's probably the one that I'm interested in the most here tonight, and maybe even Miami, Ohio as well.
No, I got to agree. I mean, just spanning the globe again, the Miami of Ohio opened up a pick. Now, Ohio, 2.5-point favorites there. I'm showing on Wager Talk right now, 68% of the tickets, 88% of the money all coming in on Ohio there. On the Akron side, 53% of the bets, 51% of the money coming in on Emu. So there was some reverse line movement on Akron. Again, the whole world on Ohio. Do you believe the flip or not? And then here's an odd one: 76% of the bets and 65% of the money on Ball State, a number that opened at 12, and I'm seeing 11 on Spanx. Now I'm actually seeing a 10.5 at Chris. So Ball State is getting some late money here.
Yeah. That one's interesting for sure there. And it kind of goes to what I was saying. A lot of these underdogs are not as big of an underdogs as these lines would make you say there. So, and not to mention, this is this MAC-tion, unless you're a diehard college basketball fan, the MAC-tion is probably the, or a diehard NHL fan, obviously. This MAC-tion is having a bigger center stage, more eyes on it than they have in the past couple of weeks, where it's been up against a big MLB or the World Series or a big NBA slate. No NBA tonight, so a lot more people are betting on this MAC-tion slate tonight. So not sure if that has any more indicators or not, but that Ball State one is going to be a tough one. I've had a lot of respect for Toledo over the years, but I haven't seen too much of them this year. So I'll stick with my Akron thoughts as far as that being my play of the day here.
College hoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is one game locally towards me, about an hour 15 away. Providence rotation number 753, 754, 6:30 start against Ryder. Opened up 13-point favorites. And I'm just trying to see if I get the same over here. Let me see. And yeah, we got a flat 13 there. Under over 141. There are some 142s out there in your neck of the woods. Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Traveling to Purdue. Purdue opened up at 27, now 25. Montana, Duquesne, Mercer, East Carolina, Georgia Southern against San Jose State. Anything in college hoops tonight, sir?
You know what? I haven't. I don't go too crazy on the opening week of college basketball. I like to sit back and watch some of it. Any thoughts on that Mercer and Eastern Carolina game? I know I want to see some splits as far as somewhere else other than the consensus here. I don't see it here. I mean, Mercer getting the favoritism. Is that on the road? It looks like in North Carolina. Is that reason to be interested in Mercer, or do you think that's more of a public trendy spot there for Mercer and maybe Eastern Carolina is the side?
I'll go to the Bible.
Okay.
So we're going to go to Ken Palm. KenPalm.com. We'll see what his final score says. And it's the highest rated game today. Mercer, he's got ranked at 160. East Carolina at 249. Mercer, 69. East Carolina, 68.
Well, there you go. So spot on that line, I guess. But I'm trying to see here. They haven't played anything yet. So I don't know. That one was at least one that caught my eye. Obviously, a lot of people know in Eastern Carolina quite a bit more than they do Mercer, probably. At least as far as the names of the schools there go. So interested to see. Did you have a money split on that Purdue one? Was that money coming in on Milwaukee, or do you think that might be some reverse line movement there? Because I don't know what to expect from Purdue. I think they'll be a drop off from last year. I think I know they have some talent still, so I think they'll be a good team. Might take a second to get going for them though. So not sure if you had any thoughts as far as why that one was dipping like that.
I'm showing here at Wager Talk, 68% of the bets, 73% of the money coming in on Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Again, Wager Talk showed an opening of 27, now 25 at Circa, 25 at Westgate, 25 and a hook at our friends at South Point. What's Chris got in Spank Odds here? 25 juiced at 09. So Penny's got the lowest at 24 and a half. And there's consensus is 25, trending to 24 and a half.
Right. So that one is interesting. I don't know much about Milwaukee, Wisconsin yet this year, but that the Horizon League is it's not as good as it was when obviously Butler was in there and had some other teams in there, but they can still they're still a tough conference at some point. Again, I have no idea what Milwaukee, Wisconsin's supposed to be this year or not, but I was just looking through some of these Big Ten scores from yesterday, seeing if there was any similar lines or whatnot, but a lot of teams having some success scoring, so I think it was 84.5 team total for Purdue. So I'm not suggesting to go to that. Maybe, I don't know. Any interest in the under on the 84.5? If maybe Milwaukee's got a chance of keeping this one closer than 25.
Ken Palm's got it 83.57. Team total over here. And I got none over here on Wager Talk. So what did you say you had, 84?
84.5, yeah.
That's a tough number, my friend.
That is a tough number. And again, I for the most part, I'm not taking any swings. I mean, did you see, I think it was UCLA was pushed on 24 and then got a steal in a basket to cover at the last second to win by 26. I mean, that's the type of stuff we're looking at with this first week of college basketball. So unless you have, if you feel like you have a huge advantage, I mean, if 83 point on an 84.5 point team total probably isn't enough to get me cannonballing off the deep end for that one. But, there is some value. I had to dip my toe in the water yesterday with my Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils, but they got smoked. 2 years ago, bet against them in almost any situation, and they were very, very profitable. And they were on KenPom the dead last team in America, 358. And then last year they went up to like 353 or something like that, and actually were a fairly profitable team. So I was testing the waters to see if that was going to be happening again. But they look rough. They might be on the full bet against team. Bet against team, even if it's a 40-point spread, because that's what it was 2 years ago. It was 40-point spreads galore, and they couldn't cover a single one of them. So, Pack and look at their ATS record. It's like 6-16 or something like that. The majority of them are 30, 40-point spreads. It's insane. But I digress. I don't know. Anything from you tonight that you were interested in? That Purdue game is probably one that I might turn on and watch a little bit here in an hour. Same with that Mercer and ECU one. And then, I don't know if there was another one you were interested in. I know Georgetown, Big East, maybe you're interested in that one, 18.5. But aside from that, I've got nothing crazy today.
Yeah, the last night it was funny. We gave out the over 148 and a hook in St. Louis and Murray State. That ended at around 158 or 159 or something. So that cashed. But you know what really sucked is our other play. We gave out the team started 4 for 22, and that was Vanderbilt against Memphis. They couldn't throw it in the ocean. And here's the sad part. I always talk about the last 5 minutes of the half and the first 5 minutes of the second half. Well, as bad as they were playing, they cut it to 8 in the first half with 30 seconds to go. Then they gave up 4 points, so it was 12. And they never made a run the second half. So as much as I was celebrating the pacing and the over, quickly, they lose by 11 or 9 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Never once covering, put it that way. So, I hate those type of games there. I'm looking at tonight in the college hoops, just on the eye test alone, the Providence number looks low as a 13. Remember, Providence was a big darling last year.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even have it listed on my screen, so I'm glad you brought this up because I didn't even see this one listed on my screen. So go ahead.
Yeah, it just looks short to me. And I mean, they were the covering machine last year. Great coach, great home environment. 13-point favorites, and the line hasn't moved. Let me go over here for 1 second. They had Chris opening it at 15, and now it's 13, trending to 12.5. Let me go to the Bible. 78-63. So KenPom, who's got Providence at 55, Ryder at 188, he's got him winning by 15. I don't know.
It's something worth mentioning. I mean, I think you're right. This was the darling of college basketball last year too. So I mean, that is interesting to see. So I was interested to see not having a bigger split on this public book over here. DraftKings 65% of the bets, but only 45% of the money. So someone was taking advantage and swung the money percentage on the rider being the heavier money side there. So I'm glad you mentioned that one. That one is that's got to be the stinkiest one of the night for college basketball, right?
Yeah, because Ryder, listen, there are Friday night darlings in that, was it the MAAC or Metro or whatever it's called, with the Manhattans, the Ionas, and all those others. And to be facing a powerhouse like Providence, that number looks short to me. And it's on Fox Sports, which means the public's going to run to Providence even more.
Yeah, at 5:30 here, so you might have me interested and sold on that one, my friend. I don't know. And I mean, if they win by 30, then maybe we need to be jumping on the Providence train right away, because last year, I mean, how many times were they had these maybe not against a Rider, it was in these Big East games where I was like, all right, well, this feels like a trap line for Providence, and then they go out and take care of business. So if they win by 30, then I'm officially I'm bought back in, and I'll be riding the train until the wheels fall off. But no, you've got me interested for sure on that one.
And the other one, and he's got Georgetown at 100 and Coppin State at 329. This Georgetown team had egg on their face for a lot last year. They had a clubhouse and a locker room that was not united. Pat Ewing struggled. Everyone struggled. Yet KenPom's got him winning by 19, again on Fox Sports. And if I go over here, 17.5, 16.5, 17.5. Let me see on Wager Talk. 18.5. So, I mean, maybe they do blow them out. I mean, but that's a big number for a Georgetown team to be covered.
Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think they turn it around this season, or do you think they're going to struggle quite a bit here again?
I think they got talent. I think this is Vegas hinting to us that they're in a good bounce back spot. Again, first game of the year is so hard. The first couple are.
Yeah.
Coaches could be working on rotations. How many practices do they got in? This matches up and bodes well for Georgetown tonight.
Yep, I think I agree with you there, and yeah, a lot of people are probably could be playing this off of just them being the dumpster fire from last season. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. I could see that one for sure. And then I think there was a couple other random ones. Detroit Mercy was interesting. Mid-major team last year. I think they're playing as a smaller school, so no spread on that one, but. Yeah, I'm sure we'll have some more to talk about the rest of the week. There's some more, I think Thursday's a better big slate again, if I'm not mistaken. So, maybe we'll find something there. I've got the Thursday, the battle of my apartment, my Illinois State Redbirds up against my girlfriend's alma mater, Eastern Illinois. So, I'll have my knives sharpened on Thursday night, ready to fight. Hopefully, that would be a bad one. I think Eastern Illinois on KenPom is in the 350s, bottom 10. So. I'll be pretty sad Friday morning if you see my Redbirds losing that one.
I'll give you the power move of the day. Sacred Heart at Hartford. Hartford overnight 2-point favorites. Sacred Heart now 6.5-point favorites. And let me see what KenPom has to say there. He's got Hartford win. See, here's the battle here. So KenPom's got Hartford winning 72-71. Okay? So people live and die with KenPom. All right? So the people that believe in KenPom, right? He's got KenPom winning 72-71. He's got them at a 51% chance rate of winning. So you were 2-point favorites overnight. Now you're 6.5-point dogs. So, do you believe in the flip and the move, or is the true value on Hartford now going from -2 to +6.5?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least interested in buying the flip on it. I mean, I love KenPom too, but I mean, if we're talking the a -2 to +2 flip, that's one thing, but. To where it is now, that's a different story. I mean, is there something we're missing here? Is something else going on? I mean, that is a massive one. So I'm certainly not playing the Hartford side, the 6.5, catching the points with that type of movement.
Yeah, I don't have any info on it. I don't, but that definitely caught my eye, and it's as high as 7.5 at Penny. Circa right now is up to 7. So anyone watching and listening wants to get in on if you can get it at 6.5, go take a peek at Sacred Heart, rotation number 306619, a 7:00 tip-off.
I see no injuries to report on either side, so we might have to start an investigation on this one here. I don't know.
Let me take a quick look at the pucks. Big slate. I haven't heard from our buddy today. Under-overs, totals jumping off. St. Louis on a back-to-back at Philly. Vegas at Toronto's probably the game of the day. That ought to be good. Real short numbered. Overnight, Toronto was at 130. Now they're at 108. So keep an eye on Vegas tonight there. Kind of scary when you see a Detroit a -155 against anyone. They're facing Toronto. Another great game, Edmonton at Tampa. Tampa opened at 150, now 165, and then 170. I know all the public's all in on the over 6.5 there on that game. Dallas at Winnipeg. Dallas is a short favorite there. Nashville at Seattle. Again, these are eye openers. Seattle favored against Nashville. Keep an eye on Seattle against Nashville tonight. And then the Wild at LA. LA or short favorite, minus 115. I've been waiting for this Wild team to wake up. It's an under over a 6.5. I lean Wild there.
Okay. I got nothing crazy to add for you. That Wild team, though, I am with you. That is one of the one teams that it seems like they're, everyone's waiting for them to wake up, and it hasn't quite happened yet. But that could be a good spot for that to happen tonight. Let's see. What was the other one? Detroit was the other one you mentioned against Montreal. That was that more of a statement you're thinking as far as the 155?
They were overnight at 170. So there's only one way that number can go is down. Yeah. Vegas is giving you the, who the hell's going to the window betting the Red Wings minus 170? You and I aren't. I know that. So it got bought down to 155. Let me just, for poops and giggles, let me see what the puck line is here, because I don't want to give out a number like that. I'd look like a fool. I mean, you can get the Red Wings minus a goal and a half plus 155. So just for little beer and pizza money, keep an eye on that one.
Okay. I can get down with it. I'm this with no NBA tonight. I'm not much of an NHL guy. This is my rest day as far as my wallet and sports books are concerned here. So, and then I say that, and then an hour I'll have a nice action parlay with Akron and the Red Wings and somebody else on there for a couple bucks or something like that. But it's a make dinner. Watch some TV series, whatnot, with the girlfriend, and then I get the next 6 days in a row of nothing but sports again. So it's one of those nights for me, I think, over here.
Yeah, these are the good nights because you can look like a hero when there's really not a lot on you, or you got to just quickly look at you. Sure, hon, let's watch that.
Yeah.
Not a
No. I could hang out for a few hours. No, nothing's going on. Oh, yeah,
no,
there is a good basketball game, but I don't need to watch it tonight.
100%. Closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. Yeah, I'm hoping for some optimism as far as my favorite teams are concerned. But you know what? I'm still loving the. It's one of my favorite times of the year. The not only getting NFL, NBA, college football, now college basketball overlap in the next few weeks, especially as we get into some college basketball tournaments and some actual matchups that are entertaining. It's one of my favorite times of the year as far as being a sports fan. So, I was joking with one of my buddies. I think I mentioned it to you guys because Lucky mentioned he had a great call on our Friday show as far as a potential, some teaser options, which he said he doesn't do often, but it worked out for him this week. So. And then I said, after the Packers game, I football. No, I'm not sure what that is. I don't like football. And then, someone else that I've kind of gotten friendly with over Twitter, is a Raiders fan, was basically kind of piggybacking off of that as well. And you know what, soccer, the world's game. That's what I'm caring about here the next few weeks. But no, I'm sure, you know what, as far as that is concerned, I'm sure the entire country, it seems like, I have no idea what to tell you as far as what to expect, but it seems like, the country's at least going to be excited for USA men's soccer for the first time, for the most part in my lifetime at least. So we'll see there. But, I'm just ready for the next handful of weeks of sports action here, Jeff. I can't wait. So. Glad to have you back here. Glad to have the spot here to be able to talk about it. So, I can't wait for the next few weeks, and hopefully we got some good action coming along the way.
Yeah, and again, we can't thank you enough. It was great to be on the ship and to see you out there killing it, and it made us proud back here. It did. I was smiling ear to ear. As I always say, the show must go on, and you just grabbed it by the bull by the horns, no pun intended, and you just ran with it. And we got 7 weeks left to 2022, and then it's 2023. And as I've told you since Jump Street, and anyone watching and listening that wants to believe me what we're saying here, it's a lot of big stuff brewing, a lot of irons in the fire, and this is just the tip of the iceberg as we move forward to the rest of 2022 and 2023. Mass is going to launch early January for the brick and mortars, God willing. And then the app world should be ready for March Madness. They initially said Super Bowl. I am not passing that word on. I'll say hopefully by March Madness, first pitch of baseball. But we got a lot of stuff brewing here, a lot of contacts with a lot of the potential big app world guys. So that's interesting. Tonight, 8:25, I'm on with Anthony Pepe, Sports Map Radio, Diehard Radio there. So, and then at 10 or 10:15, supposedly, I'm waiting for the final confirmation, Sportsbook Confessions with Sharapan and Tinker. So I have a total of 5 shows today. Welcome back to the mainland. So things are good, though. Things are good. Tomorrow, I can't believe I'm going to say this one, unless my notes are screwed up. Scott Webb is off tomorrow, so he will be back. I'm going to reach back to you potentially in the morning. Potentially, we could go over some stuff, get your thoughts on a few things. I'll reach out in the morning there for that one. I know Andrew McGinnis will be on at 1 o'clock. Scotty will be around for the closing bell. And then if your schedule is open, Thursday and Friday for sure. And Saturday, Scotty will be back in the morning. Zaid Hussein at 12:30 will be talking UFC. And then if you're available Sunday, we can do an NFL show Sunday morning.
Okay. I know I've got something in the afternoon on Sunday, but I think I should be good to do a show that day. So in the morning there at least. So and then can't wait for the Big Ten preview, the game of the year, Big Ten West, Illinois, Purdue. Everyone I'm sure in the country is dying for that one. The Illinois, the second I finally get some emotional investment in Illinois football and they fall on their face and drop one to Michigan State. So I think I'm the kiss of death for my favorite teams right now. I need to take a step back and denounce some favoritism and hope they can rattle off 10 in a row if I'm the Bulls or something like that. No, I'm kidding. But nonetheless, happy to be back. I'm excited for the rest of the week, my friend. I'm pretty available, so we can definitely get some shows on the book.
For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wished everyone here a blessed evening. Enjoy short slate, pick your spots, have some fun, sprinkle a little beer and pizza money on a couple dogs. Just, slow and steady wins the race here, guys. It's a marathon. We always talk about it. It's grind, and more grind. 7 weeks left of this 2022. So we want you here, not just today, not tomorrow, the rest of this week, the rest of this month, the rest of 2022 and beyond. So thanks for everyone that watched us today. We had Ron on about a half hour ago. We close it out with Riley, and then we'll be back at it either early tomorrow morning or in the afternoon with Andrew McGinnis at McGinnis Picks and Wager Talk at 1 o'clock. We'll have some kind of closing bell. And then we'll be back at it on Thursday. So wish everyone a good night. Good luck. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Thank you.